Kutlwano Mmereki is in studio to give us more perspective on what this reform means for Botswana's political landscape. Mmereki, welcome to Botswana Television.
Thank you so much.
As new government, your take?
How's the new government?
There's a new government,
Oh.
there's a new dispensation. They've hit the ground running. And if somebody left the country and came back, they wouldn't tell the difference. It's been very smooth,
Yes.
Very smooth transition. I don't know, your take on what really transpired?
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I'd say I'm looking forward to seeing what the UDC has in store for Botswana as a whole. And quite frankly, I'm excited to see all of that unveil, because the BDP has been in power since independence, and the more you are in power for too long, the more you sort of like lose track of what's really important. In political science, we use a term, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely, which means that if you stay in power for too long, somewhere along the way you may lose track as to what's really important. So I'm really looking forward to seeing...
So somewhere along the way,
yes,
when you're in power for too long,
when you're in power for too long,
you tend to forget yourself.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
That's what you say.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're excited that the new dispensation is bringing hope, and
Yes.
hope springs eternal.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I just said that BCP has confirmed that they will be having shadow
Yes.
cabinet.
Yes.
It's a first for Botswana Parliament. What does it really mean, and the role of shadow cabinet, if you may expand on that?
Okay. First, let's look at the history of what a shadow cabinet really is. It's a concept or a feature of a parliamentary democracy that originates from the British Parliament through the Westminster model of democracy, which simply means that it's a phenomenon that embodies the true essence of what a democracy really is. We're talking separation of powers, we're talking majority rule in the case that the party that gets to rule has to be voted for by a certain number of people, which is the majority. It embodies transparency and accountability. So that is where the concept of a shadow cabinet comes from. It is essentially, like you had explained, is a group of senior members from the main opposition, in our case being the Botswana Congress Party led by Shando. The whole idea as to why it exists, or it's supposed to exist, is to scrutinize the government, to hold the current government accountable, to make sure that everything is done in a transparent manner, and to make sure that people's interests are actually put forward. So that is, in essence, what a shadow cabinet really is.
And perhaps let's go back. Is there a statutory instrument that would govern shadow cabinet brought about by BCP, or they do not have any legislative teeth?
Well, currently, because it's a new concept, we've never heard of a shadow cabinet before in our country. I would say that it takes a certain level of the ruling government to be in agreement with the existence of a shadow cabinet. But most definitely, it has to be included as part of the legislature, because we're talking about a phenomenon or a concept that would eventually help Botswana propel to greater heights. So as of now, I would say I'm actually looking forward to seeing how the whole thing will unfold, and whether or not the current government will actually appreciate the existence of a shadow cabinet. But it definitely must be instilled in our laws to say that it must definitely exist, because
something should govern it.
Yes, something should definitely govern, and it should be recognized.
Okay, now let's talk about Botswana, who are listening to Parliament on radio and different platforms, even on television. You know, it is always telecasted there.
Yes.
The understanding of shadow cabinet, whose responsibility is it to inform, to educate them about the way shadow cabinet operates and its importance?
Okay. Well, I would say the opposition party is responsible for educating Botswana about the true meaning of a shadow cabinet. The reason why I say this is because obviously the government wouldn't really focus much on that, because we're talking competition. The introduction of a shadow cabinet means competition for the government. Therefore, if at all the opposition, the main opposition, wants the concept of a shadow cabinet to prevail, they really have to make it a point to educate Botswana in different parts of the country about what it really is and why it's important and why it definitely must exist. Because also at the end of the day, a shadow cabinet somehow opens doors for the opposition party, so that in the event that they may win the next coming elections, they would be fully prepared to take on duties, roles and responsibilities.
How do you think the ruling party would accommodate the fact that there's other ministers who are not holding the fort, who are not in the office, but they will be pitted against those, because those are the ones who are coming in to say, we're scrutinizing your actions, we're scrutinizing your policies. That won't even be enough. We'll be even providing alternative solutions.
Yes.
How do you reckon those in power, the cabinet that is in government, that they how are they going to accept and accommodate that?
Well, it's obviously very uncomfortable to have someone constantly on your neck, questioning the decisions you make, questioning the policies you enact. I certainly hope that the ruling party or the government would be open to such a concept, because generally where there is competition, healthy competition, that is, there's a very high chance of success, because everyone wants to put their first foot forward, and everyone wants to really prove a point to say, I know what I'm doing and I know why I'm here. So it's obviously going to be very uncomfortable, but I would really say that it should be welcomed with open hands, because the idea is that we want to see Botswana propel to greater heights. We want to see Botswana move from where it is currently in terms of its financial status, where it's standing also in the economy. It's a very healthy way to make sure that Botswana advances to the next level.
It won't be an easy road.
Yes.
What are the challenges that you think the BCP is going to face in putting up or implementing the shadow cabinet, and how do you think they are going to address those challenges or overcome those challenges?
Well, obviously, in terms of democracy and being in power, there has to be a certain level of resources that you have. So in most instances, the opposition party faces that particular problem of limited resources to properly execute their core mandate. That is also one other thing that would probably cause the shadow cabinet concept to be a bit shaky. The limited accessibility to resources, your finances, and anything you might need basically to make sure that the whole concept progresses. Also, you mentioned something about the public being made aware of what a shadow cabinet is. It's very, very crucial that the BCP announces to the public and educates the public about what a shadow cabinet really is. It's of essence, because at the end of the day, Botswana are the ones who eventually get to decide.
Can they do that jointly with the Speakership of Parliament or the office itself, or the National Assembly itself? Just yesterday, I actually had a moving interview. I had in studio the Speaker of National Assembly, and he was very adamant that it's going to be a very impartial affair, and he will captain that ship impartially, and he is expecting robust debates. And I actually quizzed him to say, look, most parliamentarians that are here today, they're new. There are those that have been there before. But he actually said something different to say, look, he's actually impressed that it's a pool that is potent with a bit of experience politically, and therefore he expects a meaningful debate. And do you think it should necessitate working relations between BCP and the office of the Speaker of Parliament to jointly now go to the public and say, yes, we may not have a legislation that governs shadow cabinet, but what they're doing is a welcome development, and they should do it jointly, not just to say maybe the BCP should be the one informing and educating the public about the shadow cabinet?
Well, we first need to understand the concept of democracy. What really is democracy? Democracy is all about the people. Democracy is all about, in our case, Botswana. So the main focus should be on Botswana, should be on making sure that the will of Botswana is executed. Okay. Therefore, I think at this point, we should eliminate totally the concept of the ruling government or the opposition or it should be about
people first.
People first.
Okay.
So that is why I would really support the idea of the Speaker of the National Assembly, as well as the government as a whole, supporting the BCP in its quest to actually making sure that this whole initiative becomes a success, because at the end of the day, we need to have Botswana at the back of our minds.
And then talking the long term, what are the long term benefits of having this shadow cabinet for the political landscape, for democratic development?
Okay. Well, first of all, transparency. Because obviously, if you have competition, you are bound to make sure that you do things by the book and you follow the rules, if at all there are any rules. You need to make sure that you do things the right way. And that also aids or increases the potential of the government being transparent in their daily activities. Secondly, we are now saying this initiative is important because not only does it help propel the concept of transparency, but we're talking about now accountability. The government is now going to be held accountable for whatever policies they put in place, for whatever decisions they make, because at the end of the day, we're going to ask, what have you done for Botswana? Or what are you doing for Botswana? What are you doing for Botswana as a whole? And also, the most important thing would be the issue of corruption, which is a very prevalent issue in our country. Even currently, we are hearing stories of corruption in different companies and different organizations.
We are hearing stories. Do we have evidence, like substantive evidence to say these are not just stories, these are not just allegations, these are not just hearsays, this is something that has been tested, and here's proof?
Well, I mean, recently we have the CEDA issue. It's been trending. It even triggered a strike. It's something that is in existence, and we've seen it, and we've seen the figures, and we know it to be true, or we assume that it's true.
Has it not been tested? It has not been tested. It is okay for people to protest.
Yes.
And until such a time where a report has been produced to say, BTV, you have been alleged to be corrupt. We have done an audit on Botswana Television. Botswana Television, indeed, you've been found to be corrupt.
Yes.
And then we can now cast aspersions or castigate those that were bestowed with the powers or the coffers of the nation. But it's okay. I hear what you're saying. The shadow cabinet, I know we are talking about it, but you are a young lady, very brilliant, and your insights are very potent.
Thank you.
What's your take on the gender equilibrium in Parliament? You feel that women are well represented? We know we just had a recent appointment of 2 ministers, female. What's your take?
Well, I think we should now shift our perspective and our mindset to actually realizing that women actually have it in them to be in Parliament or to hold seats in Parliament. Women have the potential. we're not living in the olden days where women were supposed to be tending to their homes and all of that. So my take on that is I feel that there has to be more women in parliament. Although I applaud the government for appointing the 2 ministers, but I feel there's room for more women to be in parliament. And obviously where a woman is, obviously, there's a certain level of order, and there's a certain level
not
of...
chaos.
Not entirely. I mean,
Okay.
women are not entirely chaotic
You're orderly people.
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to believe that we're very orderly
We have
people.
mothers out there who
Yes.
raised us, they bear testimony.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely. I mean, mothers have raised us, even the most stubborn children. Mothers always have a way of handling the most notorious children. So I believe women should be given such platforms on a serious note. We have so much to offer. I mean, I for one would say maybe in the next couple of years, I would obviously be in a position where I would actually want to contribute to the success of my country, because I know that I'm capable, and I know a whole lot of women out there who are quite capable also.
You tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You wear many hats. I know you work in a bank, but you're here as a political scientist. Why political science? Why that route? Why didn't you become a nurse? Why didn't you become an accountant? Why did you choose political science and public administration? Okay.
Well, initially, I wanted to study law. That is the truth behind it. But then when I completed my Form 5, I was very passionate about politics. I knew the cabinet. I knew what was happening in terms of current affairs. I was always reading, magazines, papers, just to try and get a better understanding of what is currently happening, not only in Botswana, but even outside. I've also always had interest in working for your international organizations, because I feel I'm very much capable of, impacting or making sure that Botswana progresses by speaking for Botswana internationally. So I genuinely love politics. I genuinely love current affairs. I love having information about what is happening, and not just leaving for the sake of leaving, and not having an understanding of what is really happening out there.
You are alive to your surroundings.
Yes.
And the happenings thereof.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mayor Kutlwano Mmereki. When you're speaking like that, quizzing you on your personal journey and why you are doing what you're doing, you just reminded me of Hebrews 10, verse 35. It says, "Do not therefore fling away your fearless confidence, for it carries a great and glorious compensation of reward."
Amen.
You're on the right path. Kudos to you. All the best. And thank you for your insights on the BCP Shadow Cabinet. We will be watching, and you please call again.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's it. 7 o'clock, a little later. In just 2 minutes, I'll be giving you Botswana news. Stay with us.
Go simolodisa letsholo kgathanong le kgokgontsho ya bomme le bana. Ke rata gore letsatsi le botlhokwa hela thata ka jana lefatshe ka bophara le simolodisa letsholo le malatsi a le 16 kgathanong le kgokgontsho ya bomme le bana. Malatsi a simolola ka kgwedi eno e le 25 go fitlhela kgwedi ya Sedimonthole